rules get even more.
So you've all heard the story, right? About what happens on July 4th?
The fisherman. Every 4th of July, gets out his hat and slicker, he sharpens up his hook, and runs wild. Should have double-checked the mattresses, Roger.
We have to go to the police.
It was an accident.
He sent you a message to Colby.
Come on, Amber. You want us to believe you got attacked on a gondola 50 feet in the air?
We all keep our mouths shut. Someone knows Roger.
You should worry a little less about me and a little more about my uncle.
Sheriff Davis? Why?
He came down here yesterday asking about some secret. I know what you did last summer.
Nothing's gonna happen in the next 2 minutes. He's after all of us. Get the hell out of the lodge.
I searched your car. I found a box with a hook.
What was that black shit coming out of his arm?
Holy shit.
I guess you couldn't hear what happened last summer.
Hi, this is Russell Todd from Chopping Mall, He Knows You're Alone, and Friday the 13th Part 2, and you're listening to The Hysteria Continues.
And indeed you are. Welcome back to The Hysteria Continues, and this is episode 273. So this time it's the third go-around for the hook with I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer. And normally when I say this is a Nathan pick, but this is an Erik pick, Erik, isn't it? So you excited to be covering the much trumpeted third movie in the I Know What You Did Last Summer franchise.
I went to see this 5 times in the cinema, so I'm a huge fan.
Was one of those at the BFI? I did see that it topped the Sight and Sound top 100 movies of all time.
Yes,
this year
it did. Mm-hmm.
So, sorry, we jest, but not that we're going to. I am going to say off the bat that my thoughts may be summed up by the fact that this movie killed my PlayStation 4. No word of a lie. I popped in my brand spanking new unopened 88 films Blu-ray edition of this because, of course, we collectively, as the Hysteria Continues, we did commentaries for I Know What You Did Last Summer and I Still Know What You Did Last Summer for 88 films, and we passed on I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer. So I hadn't watched it, I hadn't revisited it, so I was kind of looking forward to watching it just to see if it was as bad as I remembered. I popped it in the PlayStation 4, played about 4 minutes, and then it went and is dead. So officially, this movie has killed my PlayStation 4. So that is my review of I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer. So thank you and good night. But anyway.
I didn't mean to break your PlayStation 4.
It's cursed. It's like the Ring or something, isn't it? Or the or Smile or something. You've passed on some kind of curse down to me.
More like the Hole.
Oh, you would know, Erik. Nathan.
Hey, you said Erik first.
No, he meant Nathan. He meant Nathan.
I can't hear you. You've broken up. Anyway, so you okay, Erik?
Yes, I'm very much okay. I'm without my fancy microphone, which is why I may be sounding a bit tinny. Apologies.
Well, it just I think it's in tribute to this movie, isn't it? We have the budget, the podcast budget's probably
lo-fi.
similar to the... Yes, so... and Nathan, I do apologise about invoking your whole... Although you said it first. So anyway, how are you doing this fine morning?
Oh, I'm doing all right. It's very rainy here, but not bad rain. It's more the, gentle rain, and it's very relaxing. So if I fall asleep during the show, I don't think that could be held against me.
Well, as long as you don't fall asleep, and let's hope this movie doesn't put us all to sleep. But, Joseph, how are you doing?
I'm pretty good. It occurred to me that you could probably take Erik to small claims court over your PlayStation 4. This is after I take him to the goddamn loony bin for picking this film.
Well, let's just hope that I'm recording my and also the curse continues because my new MacBook has gone back to the to be fixed after less than a month, so I'm recording
Probably
it on
my fault as well, is it?
Well, very possibly. So I'm recording it on my old MacBook that's held together with sellotape and only opens an inch, which is why I'm huddled over like old Mother Hubbard or something, trying to record this. So the pains we go through to bring you something approaching quality podcasting.
You know why your MacBook broke? It's because you laughed at Toya about that video with the sheep.
Well, I didn't. Well, I did laugh actually uproariously. But if you don't know it, there's a video. Toy's done a video that was pointed out to me where, and I had to point it out to Erik because he'd missed it. There's a bit where there's it's quite a high budget production where she's in the back garden and there's some sheep running around, and she trips over one, and they keep it in.
She doesn't trip.
What does she do then?
She like bumps gently against the sheep, but she doesn't fall.
Well, only because she managed to catch herself before she falls, but she almost falls arse over tit over that sheep.
It's a great song.
And it wasn't a special effect either.
She does her own stunt work.
Exactly.
Yeah, she's multi-talented.
Complete and utter stunt. So, what have you been watching recently, Erik? What was anything caught your fancy?
Nothing. Just podcast stuff. We've got our top 3 coming up and stuff and things and everything.
Well, yes, indeed. Indeedy. So, we're covering, was it top 3 of 2008?
Yes.
I'm not even sure I've even chosen my top 3 yet. I should get around to doing that. So, okay. Well, we'll look forward to hearing what you think about that, Erik, and when we get around to the top 3. So, Nathan, how about you?
No, I haven't really had time to watch anything new because we've got a lot of stuff coming up. So I've been watching a lot of that. And I'm also, I have a set amount of Christmas movies I watch every year, both horror and non-horror related. So all the horror ones we've already covered. So I guess no sense going back over those. But yeah, it's like a tradition every year.
Okay. What about you, Joseph?
I mean, I watched half of Knives Out. What I saw of it, I liked so far, but I got distracted. I mean, it's been not only busy with the podcast, but it's been busy around here with the holidays and all. But I also watched, I'm like half for half on everything this week. I also watched half of a documentary on Netflix called Hey Pepsi, Where's My Jet? It's not horror, but it's a pretty fun little documentary, what I saw of it, about this thing in the 90s where this guy exploited a false advertising loophole to try to get a fighter jet from Pepsi. I'm not going to go into it any further than that, but I'm just telling you what I've seen, and that's all I've seen, like half of 2 films. Okay, well, it's better than nothing. Yeah, the Knives Out thing, I really want to see Glass Onion, so I needed to catch up with Knives Out. And what I've seen of it so far, I really, really like. But, you know, like I said, I just got distracted, but I will go back to it, and I'll have a full review for our next, our Christmas episode, actually.
Well, without spoiling anything, do you have a suspect after watching half of it?
Yes, I'm pretty sure I know who the killer is already, but I could be wrong. We'll see.
We'll see if you're right.
Okay, right. Well, just talk about what I've been watching. I caught up. I think I mentioned X last time, didn't I? I said I'd seen it. I know we kind of discussed it ad nauseum, but I did. I reviewed it on Hysteria Lives, and I've pretty much finished the review for Pearl, the prequel, which I kind of liked even more. And I think have you all seen Pearl, haven't you?
Yes.
Wait, that could have been one of my recently seen. I forgot. But yes.
Okay. Did you? So you've seen? Because I think I'm trying to remember. I know Erik was very enthusiastic. With it, which kind of piqued my interest. Joseph, did you catch Pearl?
Yes, I love Pearl. I think I liked it even more than X, and I loved X, so that tells you all my feelings on Pearl.
Yeah, what about you, Nathan?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I got to echo what's already been said. I thought it was great. And I wondered about the ending because Joe and Erik both were like, what did you think of the ending, when they watched it? And I wasn't sure what they were talking about. But, now I definitely know what they were referring to. And I mean, all I got to say is Mia Goth is an excellent actress.
She is. Yeah, I thought it was excellent. It was kind of, if you don't know, it's kind of obviously the prequel to X. I think it's set in 1917 or something, around that kind of time, 1914.
1918.
18, was it? Okay. And I really liked the way that it was kind of clever because obviously made while during the height of the pandemic, and of course they made it at the same time as I think it's the Spanish flu, wasn't it? 1918. the big influenza outbreak. So a lot of the characters in the kind of not crowd scenes but outside had masks on. So there's a kind of clever way of utilizing, when the world gives you lemons, make lemonade, that kind of old saying. So, but yeah, I thought she was great in it. It was kind of it was kind of interesting the way it kind of veered from that kind of slightly kind of campy comedy to kind of out and out horror, especially towards the end with the incredibly gory dismemberment bit at the end, or towards the end anyway. But I won't give too much away. But yeah, I thought if you liked X, you're very much like Pearl. I've seen some people have said, there seems to be a lot of mileage with Ty West, or people's mileage varies. I mean, I liked House of the Devil, and I liked The Innkeepers especially. So I didn't mind that kind of slow burn, the kind of slacker horror. But I know a lot of people had real problems with it. But I kind of with this, it seems like he's kind of he kind of upped the ante perhaps, but still kept the quirkiness, which I kind of appreciated. So yeah, that was Pearl. The only other thing I finally got around to finishing, I started a while back, was there was a BBC Three drama series called Wreck, spelt WRECK, set on a ocean liner, which was kind of trumpeted as a slasher, and it has a killer with an axe in a duck suit going around killing people on an ocean liner. Which sounds like the perfect slash movie setup, but really it's a bit of a MacGuffin. The slasher side of things is kind of pushed to one side, and then they take on board or take influence from a whole other set of horror movies which have slash movie leanings, but I won't spoil what they are. But it was a fun time. It felt a little bit age inappropriate in so much everyone seemed to be basically kind of fetuses and headbands in it, but I enjoyed it well enough. It was okay to pass the time. Did anyone else catch that in the end?
No.
Farmer Vincent started watching it. He's one of our forum members, and he basically said the same thing you did. It just feels like they tricked you, making you think it's a slasher film when it's really, or a slasher TV series when it's really not.
Yeah. So. Okay, right. Well, from one quality product, perhaps to another, we'll see. Erik, is this a trailer, a TV spot, or what have you got for us?
It's, from what I remember, because I put this together a few weeks ago, it's a trailer.
Okay.
So you've all heard the story, right? About what happens on July 4th?
Whoa, Amber, you want to freak everyone out?
What are you guys talking about?
The fisherman. Every 4th of July, he sharpens up his hook and runs wild.
They were the best of friends until something went horribly wrong.
The secret dies with us. Say it.
Secret dies with us.
Secret dies with us.
Secret dies with us.
They know the legend, but they never imagined what would happen next.
Did you tell anyone?
I kept our promise.
Which one of you opened your mouth?
Now, someone knows their secret.
Ready?
I'll always know what you did last summer. Get hooked.
A group of teenagers in Colorado find themselves being stalked and killed one by one by a mysterious figure with a hook, exactly 1 year after they covered up a friend's accidental death. Now, that's just the brief blurb from IMDb because as you probably know, guys, if you look at the back of the sleeve of the Blu-ray that we should all be in possession of, it doesn't give you a plot synopsis. So that's basically it. I mean, it's not exactly a plot-heavy film. It doesn't need a lot of setup. Now, here's the thing with I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer is that I don't think it's quite as bad as the reviews would suggest. I mean, I definitely think it's a big step down from the first two movies. It's low budget, shows in a lot of places. But I found the film to be, personally, kind of watchable, which is about as kind as I can get to it. The setup for the film is that these 5 teenagers are at their small town's fair, and they concoct this prank to play on everyone, where one of them pretends to be the fisherman who chases another guy up onto I think they're bleachers for some kind of sports arena. And he is supposed to plummet to his death, landing safely on some gym mattresses. But the plan goes awry and he ends up falling onto a tractor or something and getting skewered. So that's the secret the 4 of them have to keep. And the 4 remaining characters are real carbon copies of the quartet we met in the first film. The final girl, Amber, even looks kind of like Sarah Michelle Gellar. And the 2 guys in particular are really like Ray and Barry from the first film. So the Hollywood slickness that was in the first 2 films is just gone completely in this one. It has a real straight-to-video feel about it. The colours are muted and it has a lo-fi shot on digital camera feel to it. The editing of some of the action sequences is merely a selection of shaky cam shots just strung together with what looks like very little care. I did love the scene where PJ, who's the character who dies at the start, where he falls off the bleachers on his skateboard. It looked really comical. It reminded me of the kind of amateur dramatic people in peril moments from Baywatch. Baywatch used to always have somebody losing their balance and falling out of a dinghy in every episode, and this is kind of the level of stunt we get at the start of this film. Regurgitating the original film is not necessarily a bad thing, because I love the first one. It's probably my favourite of the this and Urban Legend were my favourite sort of franchises of this era. The characters are kind of likeable, I suppose, with the exception of Colby, who's trying to be this film's Ryan Felipe. He's the sort of overbearing bullying type, and towards the end the film gets a bit gory. The murders are probably more graphic in places than in the previous films. We get to see a character impaled on a forklift truck, and there's another death by wood chipper that reminded me of Halloween Ends. And speaking of the ends, now this is I suppose a slight spoiler, but I thought it was a really stupid move to play the film as a whodunit until the final 15 minutes. It builds up a plethora of red herrings, and there is kind of this sort of investigation subplot going on, but then it's thrown out the window when it's just revealed that Ben Willis is now a zombie, or he's this kind of supernatural Jeepers Creepers like presence. So I thought it was a real cheat, far more than, say, the end of Friday the 13th, where Mrs. Voorhees just appears from nowhere and she's the killer. In this one, it's I just felt it felt really anticlimactic to have it set up as a whodunit and then reveal at the end that it's not a whodunit. But overall, my thoughts are, obviously the film is nowhere near as good as the first 2, which I think we all love. But I do think that this third entry is far from unwatchable. Its biggest crime is that it's probably a bit too ho-hum. But, when I saw this first back in the mid-noughties, I'm pretty sure I probably hated it. But after having seen things like Club Dread, Feladay, Axum, and the like, I've come to tolerate this kind of straight-to-video sequel a bit more. So yeah,
wait a minute. Are you saying this is better than Club Dread and Feladay?
Yes, I'm saying
Erik, you are fired. You're fired.
It's infinitely superior to Club Dread and Feladay and Axum.
Hang on, I'm going to go talk to HR. This is bullshit, Erik. I'm goddamn sick of it.
Hollywood's New Blood, and it's better than any.
It's better than Hollywood's New Blood. I'll give you that.
And it's better than listening to any Susie and the Banshees albums.
Oh, Erik.
So there, yeah. Anyway, Joseph, I'm guessing that you're less charitable towards this film than I was.
Well, I didn't hate this, but one funny thing is I'm not sure if you noticed it or not, but this is an original film production. That's what it says at the start, an original film production. Let that sink in for a minute there. If you push past that bit of irony, the killer will not always know what they did last summer. He will only know what they did last summer during the year in which such an asinine proclamation is made. And I actually had the same problem with the I Still Know What You Did Last Summer title, but at least that movie righted that wrong in a lot of great ways. And someone mentions this in our upcoming social media feedback portion of the show, and I really agree. Why would a deep sea fisherman killer be in Colorado of all places? I mean, is he on vacation or is he just checking out the weed spots or something? The opening sequence that sets up that last summer shtick, I was actually with it for a while there, especially when one character kind of channels his inner Tony Hawk and gets into this Gleaming the Cube style showdown with the fisherman on his skateboard. But when they pull back and reveal that it's all a joke, I mean, it sort of takes that goodwill absurdity and it just fizzles it right the fuck out the window. Because once they get past the initial setup, there is a lot of the characters walking around looking morose. And this movie commits that cardinal sin in making sure that every single one of them looks identical to one another with little to no deviations in their personalities. I mean, it made me long for the deep characterization of Jack Black in I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. The acting for this sort of thing, it varies. I mean, a couple of the actors really try. I don't know, but the majority of them are just so bland. And, you know, ultimately, I think that's what this movie is. It's so vanilla and flat and very, very cheap. It reminded me of Leftovers from like a Lifetime movie network clearance sale, or almost like a telenovela remake of the first summer film. When the fisherman finally does show up, for better or worse, I just didn't care. I mean, it's a recast Ben Willis, and he's now sort of this Candyman style presence. And how does that work exactly? I mean, is he resurrected when like these boring teenagers cause deadly accidents and then keep them secret? And does he have to wait like a year so that last summer kind of shtick works? And what does he do in his downtime? Does he have a ghost ship from which he catches his fish? And this is a very fundamental question. What happens if there's an overlap and some teens in, like, I don't know, the Sahara Desert are involved in a similar scenario at the exact same time as the teens here? Does he do like a cost analysis on which group of teens better benefits his slashing? Or, I mean, does he just stick to the cooler climate so he can wear his slicker? I mean, it's best you don't ask these sort of questions. You just go with it if this is your sort of thing. I mean, there's the prerequisite stalking scenes, and some of the death scenes they have practical effects, which is good, and they give the scenes a slight jolt. But beyond that, I mean, there's no oomph. I mean, none whatsoever. I just think it's like you said, it's so cheap that it becomes a hindrance. And I hate to sound like a snob, but I mean, that's just the way I felt about it. I think also the worst sin a film could commit is to be boring. And this movie, I don't know, it aspires to boredom. I knew I knew we made the right decision skipping the commentary on the box set, but yeah, that's my I guess Tupperware, as Nathan likes to say, or my Topper Harley, as I'll coin a new phrase here. What were you thinking, Erik?
Well, I don't know what I was thinking. I can't defend it at all. As I said, I still think it's better than Club Dread and Fella Day, and I think we can all agree on that.
No.
As for what the fisherman does in his downtime, maybe he is wandering around the ghost galleon with all those models rest of the year.
See, now that would make for an interesting movie, actually.
It would. I was wondering if he was learning to make collage, because there's that ridiculously stupid moment where they recreate the Sarah Michelle Gellar moment where she finds Soon painted on a room in blood, I think, and the fisherman's cut all these photos up and created an S, an O, double O, and an N and stuck it to a bedroom wall.
It's a lot of work, but the killer puts in a lot of work.
He's supernatural, so probably doesn't he could probably do it in an instant. And if he wanted, I'm sure he could be simultaneously in the Sahara Desert and Colorado, punishing teenagers.
Well, in part 2, there were 2, so...
There were.
He could be in that kitchen with Toya and Robert Fripp, couldn't he? That'd make a better movie.
I would watch that video. I would watch that. Nathan, what do you think of the film?
I actually really, really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. I, for one, loved that the killer turned out to be Ben Willis because it's just so ridiculous and over the top. And that's what I love in movies. I love that the attack scene in the ski lift because I'm like, how? That's not possible. I'm like, and that's what I love, though. I love when the killer's able to, like you said, he's supernatural. So I guess, maybe he flew over there. So I guess, that is possible if you think about it from that angle. But I don't know. I love the absurdity of Ben Willis, like, I guess like knowing about what these kids did and then killing them in the same fashion. I wondered if they weren't trying to set up like a series, kind of like Friday the 13th, where Ben Willis is like Jason and is just, hunting people down. But I don't know if it would work because as you guys were saying it kind of is specific about the people he's targeting. Like all of them have a secret. So, I think it'd be hard to have like a secret. How many of these kids are accidentally killing people left and right?
Ben Willis would have to be the thought police at this point.
Yeah. He could turn into like a Jigsaw type person. But I love the throat slitting death. I thought that was actually very well done and looked pretty painful, in my opinion. I do like that they think it was suicide because I'm like, he slashed his throat open deep. I'm like, that would be one insane suicide. Not to say it's not possible, but I love the death scene with the forklift. I thought that was a lot of fun. There's a lot of fairly decent death scenes here. I liked Zoe. I thought she was hot RCA property. Overall, I just thought this was a very fun movie. I enjoyed it so much more than I thought I was going to, because when I watched it, way back in the day, I remember not necessarily hating it, but just kind of being meh about it. But watching it now, I was really into it. I thought this movie is so much fun. It's just, I don't know, the absurdity reaches peak levels, and that is a huge plus in my book. I'm like, make it as absurd as possible.
There we go.
Yeah, that is and I'll say it this time, tuppence.
Very good.
Now, wait a minute, Justin. Are we going to have to... that's 2 people we're going to have to fire today. Are you going to be the third?
Are you going to be the third, Justin?
This movie killed my PlayStation 4.
And that's all you really need to say. You don't really need to review the movie. Let's move on.
Yeah, this movie, I can remember... I don't say that I kind of... well, I do. Well, I did come up with the title, I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. I used to, way back in the mists of time with Hysteria Lives, I did do you remember it, Jose? I did like a news update for films. It was a long time ago. And
20 years ago now?
20 years ago, yeah. So I think, because I started the website, is it 19... I'm trying to think now. It's 98, wasn't it? So it was a year that I Still Know What You Did Last Summer came out. So I think when I started, I had this kind of news update, upcoming slashers, and I said, I called the title "I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer." Whether it's so obvious. I'm sure. I'm sure Hollywood wasn't watching my website and nicked it like they did my Final Girls meetup group idea, which is also nicked. But anyway, my lawyers are working on that, and now they've got they've been briefed them on Erik as well, killing my PlayStation 4. So, but as for the film. I remember watching it, getting a cheap DVD of it, which seemed quite fitting when it came out, and just thinking, blur. It's the first film is really enjoyable. It's kind of slick, empty-headed, but it's fun. It's kind of could do with more slashing, and could do a little bit more chase scenes and stuff. To be a really great slasher, but it's a good fun movie. I still know what you did last summer. It's much maligned, but it has so much more going for it. It's so, as far as kind of really over the top silliness, it's kind of so ridiculous. Like Nathan was saying about the kind of ridiculous ending of this movie. It felt like the rest of this movie could have done with that. What it didn't need was this kind of emo moping throughout the movie. I know their friend had died, and they had killed their friend by this prank, but all this endless moping and fixing fences and, moping around bedrooms and playing loud guitars, it took me back to, I mean, I was I wasn't an emo teen at that time by any stretch, God knows, but it took me back to time with lots of people looking very serious all the time, and it kind of sucked the joy out of it. I kind of quite like the opening scene with the prank. Surprisingly had quite a wide breadth to it. You had 1,000 cast running around this fun fair, trying to get away from this Ben Willis fake character. But after that, the next hour, more or less 45 minutes, hour, kind of stretch of this kind of maudlin teens being maudlin, which is very, very boring to me, to be honest. And I had glimmers of stuff and glimmers of kind of a bit of panache as well. It's kind of, I would have, some of the chase scenes were okay, but they were kind of over in the blink of an eye. It also had that look, it had that kind of washed out look that was quite typical of the time. And I looked it up and it was shot on 35mm, but it's strange that it was shot on 35mm, but it looks like it was shot on high definition video.
Yeah, it looks like they filmed it in like on 35mm, then edited it on like SVHS or something. It's really weird looking.
Yeah, it's got this kind of, some of it looks okay outside, but it's kind of so desaturated. It has a look, but it's not really, I think for a film which is, by the third in a trilogy, for whatever term, or in a franchise, it should be really over top and popping colours and being really sugary, like a Sugar Rush, and this really wasn't. And again, that whole whodunit thing setting it up, and then that switcheroo with it being zombie Ben Willis in a slightly better movie, as I mean more fun movie, that would have been a kind of cherry on the cake. Here it was a bit, by that point, even with the second rewatch, I kind of lost interest by that point, and I kind of zoned out a bit. And and we said it again, it's the old saying, isn't it? As far, there's no such thing as a bad movie. There's only the only bad thing is a boring movie. And for me, I'll always know what you did last summer is a boring movie. It's not bad enough to be good, and it's not good enough to be good either. So it falls somewhere in a kind of grey in between, which is a shame, because it is. I think if they got, if they'd done something, had. It's one of the characters apart from Ben Willis, which of course wasn't actually the same actor, but Ben Willis and the 4th of July, if the only two cameos really in the film, if they'd brought someone else back even just for a cameo, that might have elevated it a bit. It just felt like, and I'm sure when we get into background, we realise kind of why they did what they did. But really, after after all this time of rewatching it, it looks great on the '88 Blu-ray release. They've done a sterling job with it. But it's not for me, and it killed my PlayStation 4.
Oh, get over it, Justin. Is your PlayStation 4 fixable, do you reckon?
I don't know. Well, it literally was playing for 5 minutes and just went poof, and then won't turn on.
Put in a different film and see if it fixes it.
Well, I can't, because it won't turn on. So it is now. There's an irony, and a beautiful irony, or a kind of a syncrasy or whatever. Of it. The fact is, if it ends up at the recycling depot, it will go there with a copy of I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer, and they'll be buried alive together forever.
I love how Nathan and Erik are just trying their best to defend this movie.
I'm like, you could take it apart, Justin, and remove the disc. I had to do that with a VHS tape once because it wouldn't eject.
I don't know if I can do it with this, though, because it's... I don't know. I'm going to try a different power adapter, and maybe it just has blown a fuse or something.
Okay. Well, try to save the film.
Yeah. Now, in my defense, I'm not defending the film. Well, I'm defending the film, saying that it's watchable, but I'm not glowing in my praise for this film. Well, Nathan's glowing.
Of course, Nathan is.
Yeah.
Yeah. We all know what's causing that glow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can see it from here.
Okay, let's move on to background now. Nathan, have you got any background for us in this film?
It was originally entitled The Hook.
Yes, that was the dummy title it was shot under.
Yeah, I think that would have been really cool.
And that would have been a better title, honestly, yeah.
It's also the first film not to feature Freddie Prinze Jr. and Jennifer Love Hewitt out of 3. I just thought that those were very, very important things that y'all needed to know.
Thank you, Nathan. Joseph, have you got any background for us?
No, but I will say the actor who plays Colby, he looks and sounds exactly like our old friend Johnny Krug. I thought that was kind of spooky. I was like, wow. Did he do movies back in the early 2000s? But no, I don't have any background for this movie.
Because you might recognize that actor. His name is David Parkow, and he was also in Final Destination 2. I think he is the guy. Does he win the lottery or something?
Yeah,
but then he
that's who that
killed.
is.
He gets killed with the ladder. Yeah.
Okay.
He's also in Disturbing Behavior and Alien vs. Predator Requiem, where he plays a bully as well. Justin, have you got any background?
Well, the background I've got on it is obviously didn't get a theatrical release. It was, I think it was probably always intended to be a straight-to-video movie, although it's by Mandalay Pictures, who kind of produced the first 2. Now, from what I could tell, it seemed like I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer was intended to be a relatively quick follow-up to I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, which obviously was released in 1998. Now, going back to the 80s and 90s, the kind of turnaround for slasher movie sequels it's just like the 90s is pretty much like the 80s. The turnaround was very quick. So I imagine originally it was due to come out in 1999 or 2000. And I did read that Jennifer Love Hewitt and Freddie Prinze Jr. were due or contractually obliged even to appear in the sequel. But it entered into some kind of development hell, which I don't know exactly what happened, but obviously, presumably, their kind of contracts expired and they moved ahead with a cheaper and a version of a Xerox version of the movies with a kind of a cast of unknowns. So it finished filming just before Easter of 2005. I saw it claimed that it had a budget of 20 million, which I find difficult to believe. There was I forgot to write down which actor. It's the lead actor. Is it Ted or I can't remember the male actor who survives. Anyway, I forgot to write down his name. But there was an article in the Des Moines newspaper from the area where he was from, and it claimed that it had a budget of 20 million. And it was talking a little bit about the movie. It said that it was actually shot in Utah. Which is that Utah even further away from the sea than Colorado? I don't know. My geography of the United States is shocking. So it was bizarrely it was set in Colorado, but shot in Utah. So I don't know why they didn't just set it in Utah. But anyway, Don Shanks was the fisherman in this one, and he cosplayed Michael Myers in Halloween 5, I think. And the few more bits, but the director was Sylvia White, who directed The Slender Man in 2018. Now, obviously, it came to video. Whether or not it was ever intended to go onto cinemas, it seems to me. I mean, I don't know. Joseph might know a bit more about this, but would you ever shoot a movie on 35mm if you knew you were releasing it straight to video or to DVD?
Well, I mean, I don't imagine you'd want to waste all your money on film if that was the case. So I couldn't imagine any scenario where that would happen. Or it would be, preferable. I don't know.
No, but anyway, that's that's all I've got. Apart from one thing, I'll preempt Erik because I saw on the soundtrack there is a song called FLL performed by Goff Jones, which I'm sure that Erik had seen and would highlight. So I thought I'd mention that beforehand. But apart from that, there's not I think there was going to be another director, and it was a last-minute replacement as well. I'm not sure if it ever been really revealed who the original director was. But take it away, Erik.
Okay, thank you, Justin. A few other things from the film. Sylvain White is the name of the director. He's French, but if you listen to his commentary track on the Blu-ray, he sounds very, very American. But it was filmed in Utah in the Park City area, which is famous for its ski slopes, which is why we have the sort of the setting for this film. He says they were shooting about 9 pages a day. So if a page equals a minute, they're shooting 9 minutes a day for a 90-minute movie, which would make it possibly a 2-week shoot, which would, I don't know, sounds about right to me. Don Shanks, the Shape from Halloween 5, he plays the fisherman in this film, and he actually cameos at the end as a policeman in the ambulance as well. Originally there was going to be a different third entry. It was penned several years prior to this being made. It was scripted by Simon Davis Barry, and it was going to be set in the wilderness. That's as vague as it is. Set in the wilderness with the fishermen attacking a group of teens, and the director of Severed Ties, Damon Santos Stefano, was attached to direct it. The script for this film was written by a chap called Michael Weiss, who has penned lots and lots of low-budget direct-to-video sequels to big budget franchises. So he's done this. He did The Butterfly Effect 2. He did Hostel Part 3. He did Eraser Reborn, Jarhead 3, and The Scorpion King 4. So that's quite the CV to have.
Really living up to that last name of Vice there, buddy.
Very good. Yeah, he does. He admitted that he got a last minute call, the director, Sylvain White, as somebody was fired. Don't know who that was. I can't imagine it was a name director. He said his influences for the film were things like The Ring, Fight Club, Evil Dead, The Exorcist, Identity, Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Halloween, and the others were they were his favorite horror films. And Tori DeVito, who plays Zoe, who's kind of the goth singer character in the film, she, along with Brooke Nevin, who plays Amber, have been in a ton of those Hallmark Christmas movies where I don't know, a busy Wall Street person goes back to the town they grew up in and finds the holiday spirit and romance, or that type of nonsense. That's a genre all on its own. But she was also in The Right, which is that very silly satanic possession movie with Anthony Hopkins in it from about 15 years ago. And yes, there is that song LFL by Goth Jones, which is, I looked into Goth Jones and it said that it was an AKA for Jay Kurzweil. That's all I could find.
Erik.
So that's, yes. So that's all the background I have on the film.
Well, I was going to say, just as a note to Joseph, that you can cut out, that I think I kind of, you obviously know, there may be some overlap with the background because I think we're not hearing each other. It'd be a nice weekend job for you, Joseph.
Oh, yes. Thank you again, Erik.
I'm sorry.
It's a curse. It's got a death curse, this movie, this episode.
And this is funny because my recording tracks have stopped like 6 times and I've had to restart them.
Oh, no.
So, Joseph, what was the consensus on the group for I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer? I saw it started a shit show. Well, I'd say shit show, a lively debate.
Yeah, I mean, this is surprising to me. We had 64 comments for I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer, and all the good films barely get any comments. So I don't know what's going on here, but
this is a good film.
Anyway, thanks again, Erik. James Binge, I don't know. I hate pronouncing people's last names. Anyway, James writes, I didn't hate it. Just felt like a made-for-TV version of a theatrical film. April Fool's Day had a similar remake, in quotations. And Dial Tone 1030 says, a fisherman killer ghost in Colorado. Sure, that seems like a good idea. Oh, wait, no, that's terrible. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Listen on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and about a billion other podcatchers, both good and bad. We're also on Patreon, and for the commentary fans at large, we'll be discussing Silent Night, Deadly Night for December. It's Christmas. Ho, ho, ho. The email address for those of you who still participate in that sort of thing, and not many of you do, sniff, sniff, is thehysteriacontinues@gmail.com.
Excellent, and thank you. Well, I can guess this show has been cursed in lots of different ways through lots of technical mishaps, which through the magic of editing, Joseph, I'm sure will massage out most of them. But unfortunately, well, maybe you can massage out this one, but it's Erik's joke of the week.
It's my joke of the week. It's so great and fantastic.
Why does the fisherman have such a busy love life? Because he finds it very easy to hook up with people. Hook up with people. Hook.
Erik, my goodness, kid. What is going on with you this week?
My next choice in 4 weeks' time, or is it 4 weeks? 2 months' time, whatever it is, will be much better. Don't worry.
Okay, well, that's good. I mean, this probably this is going to be one of the shortest shows we've done, so apologies, but we have had it has been a literal shit show with technical mishaps.
Thanks again, Erik.
I've got a storm approaching, which may explain my Skype is not working properly. My PlayStation 4 is dead, as you know. I have a kidney infection, which I blame on Erik now as well, and choosing this movie. So can this weekend get any worse? Hopefully not. Toya's not playing anywhere near me, is she?
Sorry?
Exactly, you didn't hear that. So just as well.
No.
So what are we playing out with? What we doing next time?
Yeah, what we doing next time? Joseph.
Oh my God, I'm lost. Both of you cut out. What happened?
What are you covering next time on the podcast?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, so next time it's our Christmas show. It's I don't know if I'd call it, well, we'll see. We'll see. It may or may not be a slasher, but we're covering the 1989 film Elves, and we'll be joined by a special guest, Dan from, I think his name is Dan. I know he has an AKA, so if I'm getting this wrong, I apologize, but we'll be joined by Dan from the Remedial Film Class podcast.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And we're playing out today with Kajagoogoo and Turn Your Back on Me. Now, why are we playing out with Kajagoogoo, Turn Your Back on Me, you ask? Well, you should never turn your back on the fisherman, for starters. 2, I listened to a lot of Kajagoogoo last summer. And 3, the song has a great hook.
And Erik, one last thing. You've actually played out with that song before, so way to go again, Erik.
Oops, have I?
Yes, but let's go with it anyway, because it's a good song.
Okay. And Justin loves it. Justin can't get enough Kajagoogoo.
Well, if I'd actually heard any of that, I may agree or disagree. So, but unfortunately, our friend Skype was playing tricks. So,
what they're going to hear is going to be kind of okay-ish. But if only they could hear what's actually going on behind the scenes. Oh my God, I don't even know what's going on anymore.
I know.
But isn't it strange that it was cutting out for you, Joseph, as well, on Erik's? So I wonder if it is a Skype issue today.
Yeah. All I heard was Erik say something like, Joseph? I'm like, what?
So anyway, well, here we go. So, well, thank you for listening to The Hysteria Continues. And we'll catch you next time for some festive celebration with elves. So we're playing out with, is it Kajagoogoo?
It is Kajagoogoo.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Turn your back on me.
Oh, I see.
Again.
Right. All I heard was that Erik saying to Joseph, "Turn your back on me," and I was thinking, what have I stumbled into? So
How rude.
Anyway, here we go. So we're playing out with this, and we'll catch you next time when Hysteria continues. So say goodbye to the good people.
Bye.
So long.
Goodbye.
Bye. Thank God. What is going on? This episode is cursed. It has to be. Wow.
Oh well, let's get this in the bag. So well, thanks for taking one for the team, Joseph. So it's working now, isn't it? Now we stop recording. Maybe there is a death curse on. I'll always know what you did last summer.